Hey everybody, it's Stephanie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to demonstrate this ColourPop Cloud 9 palette. Can you see it there? I thought the colors were really pretty in the store and online. And I love the shimmers, and I didn't really test them except for just to maybe swatch my finger. And I thought, ooh, pretty, pretty. Well, when I actually got it home and I tried to apply it on my eyelids, I found it really difficult to work with. There was a lot of shimmer all over my face. I couldn't use a brush. I finally just gave up using brushes, so I'm going to use my finger. So I don't have high expectations for this palette today, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. You know, I tried it 16 ways a Sunday and didn't like anything, but I'm going to give it another try here and see if I can come up with a complete look. So having said all that, I am going to be applying the product mostly with my finger, and then I'll probably just use a brush to blend it out. Otherwise you can barely see it. This is the shade Cloud Watchin'. I changed my mind. I'm going to use a little higher end brush. So I'm going to go in with this Urban Decay dual end brush. I know this is a very good brush, so we'll try it with this and see what happens. But these are just very slight, and there's quite a bit of dust up. So definitely tap. So I'm going to just go ahead and try to apply that on my lid. And as you can see, yeah, if I don't tap it, the dust literally gets in my nose. It felt like I was breathing in the dust up, and it gave me a little bit of a headache. I woke up this morning with a headache. I'm usually really super happy with ColourPop. This one, maybe I just got a bad palette, I don't know. But the pigment's, really hard to put down, and there's just so much fallout to the point where I feel like I'm breathing it in. That's not good. So, all right, so this is what happens when I use a brush. I'm gonna try again here. I can save myself a lot of trouble just using my finger. Even if I can't be as precise, I'd rather use my finger, get it in place, and then move it around with a brush if I have to. So this time we're gonna go in with my finger. So I've got that there. When you look at them on the palette, they look different when they are applied. Like, I expect this to be more of a taupey brown, and it's coming out more of a gray. But as you can see, I'm using my finger here to apply this, and it's taking a lot less effort to get the same amount of pigment. So I highly recommend finger. I should back up by saying that I did prime my eyes. I wasn't about to go in here today with no primer. So as usual, I'm using my Revlon Color Stay Skin Awaken 5-in-1 concealer in the shade Universal Brightener. This makes up for a very good primer for my lids personally. Last night when I was using this, I wasn't using any primer at all. Hopefully that will help with some of the fallout. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the brush again. I read the reviews. It got great reviews, it seemed like, although I did read some people saying that it was really pretty. They liked the way that the color story was, but it did have quite a bit of fallout. I haven't worn this for any length of time, so if there is fallout immediately that I can clean up, I'm not going to know how long I can wear it if it continues to fall on my face. So right now I have on a little bit of concealer on my face so I don't look really washed out. So I don't dare put any makeup on right now because that would be, I'd have to do it all over again. All right, so using my finger and using this brush and some concealer on my lid as primer seems to be helping. This color it looks brown to me, but when I have it on my eyelids, it looks more gray, so that's just kind of interesting. The next thing I'm gonna do though is, this is gonna be a pretty just simple eye look, just to run this by you, and of course I'm not the first one ever to test out this palette. You've probably maybe seen it before. I personally have not. Now I am going to use again, this is gonna be a simple look. So I'm gonna go in with this shade here, this shimmer shade. It's called Pure Bliss. And I'm gonna grab as much as I can. So definitely, I can tell you right now, it definitely helps to have some sort of primer. Now, having said all that, this is my experience, okay? Some people have more oily eyelids and it'll react differently. They might have a better set of brushes. You know, their eyelids might respond better to a different type of primer. This is my experience, okay? So I'm putting that on with my lid. I've got it, it's kind of not very evenly distributed there. I'm gonna go in with a brush now and try to pick up a little bit more of this shimmer shade here. Very subtle. It looks very pigmented on the finger, but on the eyelid, not so much. Okay, so I'm packing it on there with my brush, and I'm already getting a bunch of fallout here. I'm gonna go to the other side. I may have to start with my finger again. I was just kind of hoping maybe I wouldn't. All right, going in with the finger, and then I will move it around. It's pretty. I think it's very pretty. I just don't like, it's, you know, you can work with it if you want to. If you have the patience and you like doing that kind of thing. But I don't like having to mess around a lot with products that are hard to work with. It's not worth my time. There are just other ones I have or I could use that just are easier. So, like I said, this is my experience. Okay, I'm gonna go in here and try to push this around a little bit and get it where I want it to go, hopefully. And then I'm gonna have to do a bunch of cleanup. And then trying to get it even is the other trick. So, wow. I'm sorry, I don't like being negative, but I'm not gonna lie, this is a tough palette for me. For me, personally, it's a tough palette. I'm gonna go back in with this same brush from Urban Decay. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that. I'm sorry, this shade is actually called Perfect Day. It's not Dreamwalkin', it's Perfect Day. I was looking at the back of the palette and I mistook which pan I was looking at. Try to clean this up a little bit, give it a little bit. So I really do think that is really quite pretty. My gripe is that it's too hard to work with and it's too messy. How we doing? This is going to be probably a rather hurried video because I have to be somewhere and I don't want to be late. Alrighty, I like the look. I'm not going to clean any of this up until I get the eyeliner going, and I'm not sure, based on my experience so far, I'm not sure what I will use for eyeliner. Okay, I'm going to take this, this is a Pharmacy liner brush, and I'm going to go in here with, this is the shade Starry Skies, and I'll show you what it looks like on my finger. It's kind of a midnight blue-black, and it does have some shimmer in it. And I will trust this as a liner beyond the other ones because I know that the pigment's going to be an issue. So it's okay. I wasn't expecting it to go on just really creamy smooth and just really awesome because I am having to use a brush. I won't be able to use my fingers for the liner. So, but it's okay. It's not awesome, but it's not terrible. I think it's a good shade for the liner. Let's see how it does down here. Bring it up a little bit. Okay, I'll just do that for now, and then let's go in here. It's always harder for me to do on the other eye, and I'm not left-handed. That always reminds me of that line in The Princess Bride when they're having the duel. They're going back and forth, and it was just like awesome dueling skills with their swordsmanship, and then they switch hands, and Inigo Montoya says, "I am not even left-handed." That was just random. Yeah, I just had to throw that in there. It's an 80s thing. "I am not left-handed." And then Wesley says, "I'm not left-handed either." Something like that. Such a good movie, The Princess Bride. I love that show. It's so cute. I'm old enough to say that I saw it in the movie theater. And I've seen it countless times on video. That's like one of those videos that you own. My son actually bought me a book that was written by Carrie Elways, who played Wesley, as you might know or probably know, all about the making of The Princess Bride. And it's a really good book. It's very interesting to hear about how they trained for that sword fight scene. That scene took a long time and a lot of training, and he said he was so sore he could barely walk. Working. It's a little messy, which I expected. This is it's a pharmacy, just a blending brush, I think, and it's clean. So I'm going to use it to just sort of move that around a little bit. And then I'm going to have to do some massive cleanup on aisle 9 over here, because it's pretty, but it's messy. There's no way I'm going to get this absolutely perfect. There's no way. It would take me too long. I'm not even going to bother. So I'm going to go in now with, this is the shade All Fluff. I'm going to pick up this Be a Small eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to go in with All Fluff, which is really a very white shade up here, but I don't want it to be too stark, so I may mix it a little bit with, actually that doesn't look so bad. Okay, so I think I mentioned earlier the only thing I have on my face is a little bit of concealer, but I also did do my brows, as well as my concealer on my eyes and a little bit on my face. So actually that's not, I overestimated it, because it looks super pigmented on there, but not necessarily when I apply it. So I might have overestimated it. No, I think it's good. In my opinion, I'm the one that has to wear it, so just plop a little here. All right. I'm going to leave it like that and call it good. I don't have to mix it with anything. I think that's fine. Just got to clean it up now. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I just had to go clean this up a lot. And I'm now putting some eye cream under my eyes, where I had to use quite a bit of cleanser under my eyes to get that fall out. So again, I don't like to be negative. I don't like having to give a not happy review about something. I always want to just love it. I want to be excited about it. Anyway, I'm just letting my under eyes settle a little bit. I'm just gonna plop on some mascara and just talk for a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna be using this Maybelline Colossal. I do like the look. I like what I was able to do with it, but it's just not it's not a stable enough powder formulation to where I would want to use it again. It just took too much trouble. And on top of that, for some reason, the fallout and the dust up, it got into my sinuses, and it really aggravated my sinuses to the point where I had to go use like a neti pot to rinse them, which is really sexy. Yeah, I don't know, there's just something about this particular palette that its saving grace is the fact that it is pretty and you can work with it if you want to, but for me, the formulation is a nightmare. So I'll probably just give this away because it's not going to work for me, which is unfortunate. So here's a little fun drama story. Well, it's funny. Well, it's not fun. It's not fun and it's not funny. I had to leave for about a half an hour before I came back to finish this video. I had just to run an errand, and when I got back, my dog usually comes, you know, running, greeting me at the door. But I walked into my room and he was on my bed, and he had a weird look on his face. He was wagging his tail, but he had a very strange, odd look on his face. My dog is very expressive. I can tell whether he's happy or sad or forlorn or tired or something on his face. It's not hard to tell. I have never quite seen this look on his face before, and he whined a little bit, and I said, "Hey Duncan, what's going on? What's going on with you? What are you doing?" And he was acting really weird. And I noticed on the floor, somehow he had gotten into a package of chocolate cookies. There was probably maybe 3 or 4 of these cookies, and they were large cookies, and they really should not have been in a place where I would think that he would get into, but he's quite resourceful at times, and he will eat just about anything. So I have to be very careful about where I leave food. He ate. I looked down, and that package of chocolate cookies was completely gone. He polished off the entire package of cookies that was left over. I was like, that look on his face, that was guilt. That, straight up, that was guilt. So needless to say, I panicked because I was like, oh my gosh, I know that you can induce vomiting with charcoal and things like that, but I didn't have anything. I have no idea how do you even do that? Where do you even get charcoal? Like, I'm gonna tell you something right now. After this experience, I'm gonna be prepared for these things. I just was panicked because, I mean, dogs and chocolate. I don't think that's a good combination, especially that much chocolate. So we did have some hydrogen peroxide. We do have some of that, and so I measured out about a teaspoon and a half and syringed that bad boy right down his throat, and I think he's gonna be fine now. Without going into detail as to what happened in that case, I think he's gonna be just fine. So I spent a little bit of time cleaning up, if you get my meaning. It was totally awesome. Anyway, but my dog is gonna be fine, so that's the good news. All right, I'm gonna go on to the foundation. I picked this up around Christmas time last year. I think it was $6? I'm like, I gotta try this, and I really liked it for a $6 foundation, but I haven't used it much since. I'm gonna test this foundation using the palm of my hand. Usually by now, I'm gonna put about that much. Usually by now, I would have put on some color correction and some contour and stuff. I'm not doing it. We're just gonna get right down to this today. You guys, I'm so sorry. I hope this is okay. This is a pharmacy foundation brush, and I'm not sure if I really am super happy with how firm that is, but we're gonna give it a shot. So I'm just gonna Rub that in just like that. It really, really super absorbs the foundation. It gets right into the brush. It must be the fact that it gets in the brush so much that it makes it so it's harder to, you know, over apply. Maybe that's why it gives such a nice finish. I'm not sure. Okay, this is really nice. This is working really well. I'm happy for a good outcome right now after the eyeshadow debacle and the dog barf debacle, but I digress. I need to pin my hair. So you may have to use a little bit more foundation than you normally would, maybe, because of how it absorbs into the brush. Maybe just slightly a little bit more, but it just goes on really nicely. Okay, yep. Even with a very inexpensive foundation, this is just a better way of applying. I don't know that I'll ever go back to the other way of applying foundation, not on a regular basis anyway. So that looks good. A lot of times before I put my makeup on, I will have a little bit of concealer on my nose and a little bit of contour, but I don't right now. So, I mean, even up here in the textured areas, it's just, okay, I highly recommend this. I highly recommend this foundation application technique. It's really nice. Okay, I went off camera and I did just a little bit of contour. I still don't have anything under my eyes for concealer. I rarely put a light concealer under my eyes without a color corrector first, but I'm gonna do it with my Skin Awaken here. I've done it before just to play with it and it was okay, but there's so much darkness underneath there. I'm hoping that I can just brighten that up a little bit. I'm just gonna take a sponge. I really like the Revlon Colorstay drugstore brand. It's a very good drugstore brand. I've not been disappointed with any of the Colorstay products so far. And this particular concealer I have used under my eyes by itself and it did cover pretty well. Looks like it's doing a pretty decent job. I still have some red marks where my glasses are that normally I would use a green concealer to cancel the redness, but I'm not doing that today. This feels like a haphazard video. I'm gonna finish off with a little bit of bronzer and some blush. But first I'm going to use my very favorite drugstore brand of lip gloss. This is NYX Butter Gloss, and this is in the shade Madeline, and it's just a really nice, subtle, natural looking, pretty. I love it. These butter glosses are just amazing. In the past 6 months, they've gone up $1. That's a pretty big jump. If something's gonna go up in price, it doesn't usually jump an entire $1, but I'm not gonna say anything more about that. For my next trick, I'm gonna pull out my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores bronzer. I really like this bronzer. I like bronzers. Bronzers are good for the soul. So I'm just adding a little bit around there, just warm up my face a little bit. Sometimes if it feels like I'm starting off and my makeup isn't going the way I'd like it to, or it just doesn't feel like a good makeup day or something, bronzer just seems to go in and just sort of like fix it. Yeah, that's the word for it. Bronzer fixes it. Especially a good one. I've got a couple that I personally really like. The Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer is nice. I just put a little bit on the brush. I don't put a lot. I'm not super deliberate about where I put it either. I just put it on the brush and just pat it around my face until I'm happy with it. That's how I do it. There might be a better way of doing it, but so far this is the way I do it. I just like to add the color. I considered taking these two e.l.f. Camo liquid blushes. This is the shade Coral Crush, and this is the shade, I think this is Dusty Rose. I'll double check. But anyway, I was considering mixing these two. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna do a light blush. My eyes are, quote, dramatic enough. My eyes are sort of the focus right now, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of this. This is a lighter shade. It's very subtle. It's definitely pigmented, but it is subtle. I'm gonna take this flat angled BS Small face brush, and I'm just gonna work that in. I don't just do this with the foundation, now I'm doing it with a blush too, so. But it's just a really nice, pretty, natural looking shade of blush that will just do the trick. I may add a little bit more if I want to, but I'm not really going for a lot. I want to add just a little bit more. I'll just maybe put a tiny little bit like there on my fingertip. I'm just going to rub it in and just dab a little bit. Only because it feels like this side isn't as pigmented as that side. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more. So I don't want to be uneven. I think that's good enough for today.
I checked it out in natural light. My eye makeup looked pretty good. I needed some concealer under my eyes, but otherwise I think the makeup looked pretty good. This was about 3 hours after applying my makeup, after having taken a walk. I was in my car, I was recording a video for something completely different. So I think the makeup looks pretty good at this point.
So pretty happy with that overall look. I like the eye look. Just don't like the formula, sorry. Cloud 9. I just wish it would behave a little better because it really is very pretty. I like the way the rest of my makeup came together, so I'm happy with that. So I think I'm just gonna call it a day. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I will see you next time.